presentation. We now move to Mr. Anirudha Tyagi.
Namaskar, good morning, all my members of BRICS and my dear citizens of this beautiful nation. When we today stand at the crossroads of vulnerabilities, we must not forget the challenges which we have, and I would term them as the black swan challenges. And these challenges have questioned the relevancy of the United Nations Law of Convention on Seas. It has challenged and brought into questions the credibility of United Nations as an institution. We may advocate for the principles of an utopian state, which I would mention, that everything will be governed in accordance with the laws. But at present, the situation is quite contrary. The Strait of Hormuz, the Suez Canal, and all the choke points which we have in the world, either it's the English Channel, or it is the 6-degree channel, or it is any other Malacca. We all face the challenge many times. But these challenges are not due to nature, but also due to human intervention. Yes, it is true that nature imposes a challenge, and we all have that situation. We might not win the challenge, but all those challenges which are man-made, they have to be taken a due recognition and solution. When this discussion is happening under the agenda, the Mahasagar Mandate, India's leadership in following BRICS Doctrine. India has a rich maritime heritage. Either we see the Indus Valley civilization, wherein we had the relations with the Mesopotamian civilization and many others. And therein we could see what all trade facilities we had. The disruptions, they are man-made, as I said. But the problem today lies somewhere else. And the problem, which was briefly touched by the previous speaker, the substitute or the alternative, or in alternative, the problem is we don't have short-term substitutes. What I mean by this is we have a limited capacity to pivot supply resources. And this problem is the major problem which we face today. And this is the risk or the vulnerability. You see, any nation's standing are tested on 4 grounds. Number 1, the political. Second, defense. Third, economy. And fourth, foreign diplomacy. And at today's moment, all these situations are under the eclipse of regional conflicts. So what alternative remains with the BRICS? Do we counter the natural barriers or the geographical barriers which we have in the maritime sea route? Or we develop our infrastructure? Number 1. Number 2, the second problem which we have is, as I said, the commercial risks. These sudden sanctions by a nation and the dependency on one nation. Now, having these risks and vulnerabilities at the priority, we must also take into consideration what India stands for the BRICS. Being from the profession of law, I consider it my duty to put forward before the BRICS nations and before you all the statutory situation of India and how India is doing the same to prosper this situation and to counter this situation. For your aid and assistance, I want to mention that the Parliament of India has enacted the Merchant Shipping Act 2025. This legislation replaces the Merchant Shipping Act of 1958 and enhances ship safety, pollution control, and ease of business. Second, we have Coastal Shipping Act 2025. This legislation again replaces the 1958 Act and aligns itself with the global norms. Coastal cargo volumes, simplify license, and strengthens the foreign vessel regulation. Third, we have the Indian Ports Act. It enhances the port's authority, promoting sustainable maritime operations. And apart from that, I want to mention, economically, India in the budget of 2026 has allocated 69,000 crores for shipbuilding and 25,000 crores for Maritime Development Fund. And we need a corpus, a BRICS corpus for all these things. As the previous speaker mentioned about IMEC, I must also put forward the fact of India North-South Transport Corridor. That is also very important for us to take into consideration. The another thing which I want to mention, concluding my remarks with this fact, that today, as the disruptions enhances, and when we are sitting today, we must not forget the fact that 2 hours before, a statement by the Vice President of America, J.D. Vance, has come that the negotiations between Iran and the USA have failed. That means we are again entering into a risk of many challenges. And for that also, we must also take into account the fact that there is a need to have a relook upon our international institutions. And we must also find alternatives to the energy sources. And in that regard, India is very beautifully, and I am proud to mention to my BRICS nations that 5 days ago, India made a major milestone. The indigenously designed and built prototype fast breeder reactor, PFBR, that is a nuclear reactor that is reached and attained criticality, second stage. That means we are now at the second stage of generating the energy through nuclear power plants. This is also very important for us to understand. See, these are vulnerabilities, these are challenges, apart from geographical, are man-made. And it affects the public at large, the consumer at large. Laws, legislations, conventions, they all must be quay. The needs and demands and the reforms must be quay the risks and vulnerabilities. With all this, I thank you for giving me the opportunity. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir, for your remarks. Next, we can move to Ramesh, sir. Dr. Ramesh.
Sir, namaskar, sir.